Misery is manifold, the wretchedness of earth is multiform. How is it, from beauty, I have derived a type of unloveliness, from the covenant of peace, a simile of sorrow. But as in ethics, evil is a consequence of good, so in fact, out of joy is sorrow born. My baptismal name is Aegis. That of my family I will not mention. The recollections of my earliest years are connected with that chamber and with its volumes, of which latter I will say no more. Here died my mother, herein was I born. Berenice and I were cousins, and we grew up together in my paternal halls. Yet differently we grew, I ill of health and buried in gloom, she agile, graceful, and overflowing with energy. Disease, a fatal disease, fell like the simoom upon her frame, and even while I gazed upon her, the spirit of change swept over her, pervading her mind, her habits, and her character, and, in a manner the most subtle and terrible, disturbing even the identity of her person. My own disease then grew rapidly upon me and assumed finally a monomaniac character of a novel and extraordinary form, hourly and momentarily gaining vigor. In the lucid intervals of my infirmity, her calamity indeed gave me pain, and taking deeply to heart that total wreck of her fair and gentle life. True to its own character, my disorder revelled in the less important, but more startling changes wrought in the physical fame of Berenice. And in the silence of my library at night she had flitted from my eyes, and I had seen her, not as the living and breathing Berenice, but as the Berenice of a dream. Imagination, or the misty influence of the atmosphere, or the uncertain twilight of the chamber. The teeth, they were here, they were there, and everywhere, and visibly and palpably before me, long, narrow, and excessively white. I arose from my seat, and throwing open one of the doors of the library, saw standing out in the antechamber a servant maiden, all in tears, who told me that Berenice was no more. She had been seized with epilepsy in the early morning, and now, at the closing of the night, the grave was ready for its tenant, and all the preparations for the burial would have been completed. The shrill and piercing shriek of a female voice had seemed to be ringing in my ears. I had done a deed. What was it? With a shriek I bounded to the table and grasped the box that lay upon it, but I could not force it to open, and in my tremor it slipped from my hands and fell heavily, and it burst into pieces, and from it, with the rattling sound, there rolled out some instruments of dental surgery, intermingled with 32 small, white, and ivory-looking substances that were scattered to and fro.